All right, here we go. We're about to dive in. Episode 43. Yeah, that's it. 43. I can do that over 43. Yeah. All right, here we go. We are into it, folks. We are doing it. Last episode, very nice. Thank you. People that responded and watched and told me that it was cool. I'm encouraged as always. Keep going. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Also, I haven't forgotten about the subscriber drive, man. We're driving for subscribers. So any one of you who recommends somebody to come through and subscribe and use your name, the one who recommends the most people, will receive a t-shirt or two. I don't know. We'll see. I'm toying with the idea, but definitely the winner. We have an outlier that's running away with it right now. I'm not going to mention her name again, but I'm sure somebody can beat that out, or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so this is episode 43, and we are rolling. So now, yeah, but wait, I didn't do my weather report. As you can see, it's raining like, I don't know. It's been raining like that 2 days, all night. And it shows no sign of stopping. It's not gonna stop. I am going to introduce a new commercial, I guess you could say, right? I have pretty much completed my project, my music project, and I have a video that kind of explains it, and I want you to check it out. It's a little over a minute, so it's kind of long. But yeah, here we go. It's on you.
MuSync is the convergence. It is the evidence that the vision was real, that the directive was true, and that the future I met all those years ago was preparing me for this moment.
For 35 years, I held that directive. Through seasons of magical success and quiet fruitfulness, I kept writing into the unknown. Those pages became a library of messages in a bottle, waiting for a shore that hadn't yet formed. Then came the unimaginable, AI.
Being hurt is bad business. Giving yourself to a storm is no reality. 'Cause in life, there are times when giving yourself is no reality. Besides, why should your world be so small?
This episode about communication. We are all talking, but are we all connected? I remember back in the day when they had these black light posters all over it, right? And I remember this one I had, you put the black light on it and the words will light up. I'm gonna try to recall it, but I hope you get the gist of what I'm saying. I am sure of what I said, but I am not sure what you heard is what I meant. That's the problem right there. Talking communication could be a bridge or it could be a wall. We communicate constantly, texts, calls, emails, face to face. But connection is not the same as communication. Connection is not the same as communication. Just because we exchange information doesn't mean that we're being understood. We assume communication is happening. Often, a lot of times it's not. We're just taking turns making noise. Oh man, I saw this documentary about a woman. She was a doctor, and she was in the shower, and I think she fell and had a head injury, right? And it affected the part of her brain that had to do with speech and communication. And even though in her mind she was thinking coherent thoughts, she tried to call, for help, but she was still moving around. And when she heard the person on the phone, it just sounded like noises, right? So basically, our language are just grunts and groans that our mind, interpret as words, which is really just vibration, organized vibrations, right? And that's what we use to communicate. But behind the communication is the intent. You could say the same thing, the same exact words, and mean almost, opposite things. You could say, hey, where you been? You could say, hey, where you been? You could say, hey, where you been? Right? So it's communicating totally different things, right? And that's the thing about communication. Like I said, it can be a bridge or it can actually be a wall. When you speak to someone, it goes through these stages, right? It starts out inside as what you intend or the thought. And it has to go through your filters of emotions, your intellect, your assumptions about the other person. And sometimes by the time it hits your lips, it's maybe a watered down version of what you intended, right? You don't want to hurt people's feelings, but I don't even think it's that. You just don't want to deal with the repercussions of how somebody might feel. So you edit yourself. And in that editing, it limits communication. And that's a whole snowball of events that just go, So even though we do these things every day, do we really understand what it is we're doing, right? We're communicating all the time. Every time we step outside, we're communicating, right? You don't even have to be saying a word, right? We don't have to talk to anybody, but we're communicating. Our body language communicates. The way we dress, the way I'm dressed, this communicates something, It's all part of the desire to build bridges to people, to communicate, to let people know who I am, basically. Even though people say, I dress for myself, I don't dress for anybody. Nah, the way you are in your house when there's nobody over and then you're by yourself and nobody's coming, that's how you really dress for nobody. But I would say 99% of the people, before they step out their house, they're going to check themselves out in the mirror because they want to communicate something to the rest of the world. When we communicate well, we feel seen, heard, and valued. We resolve conflicts, right? When you have a deep feeling or you feel secure that somebody is actually listening to you, it's more than agreeing with you, right? So you get the feeling that the person actually sees you. And of course, the opposite is true. When you don't feel heard, when you feel when there's a failed communication, it breaks down everything. You don't want to communicate with somebody that you feel is not listening to you. Saying what you have to say is just one part of it. The other part you don't have any control over. how somebody hears you. The same filters that come through you, come from your heart, through your mind, through your emotions, whatever, and then it comes out. When somebody hears it, it's going the other way. It's going through their mind, through their emotions, through their experiences. And sometimes it never gets to the part of them that can listen, that can hear it. Sometimes you have to do what they call active listening, say things like, is this what you said? And kind of repeat it verbatim. Or what I'm hearing is, just lets the person know that they may have to clarify, or maybe you have to, you need time to kind of hear it again to kind of understand what they're saying. And there are external things that affect communication. Like if you're exhausted, hungry, or if you're angry yourself, those are filters sometimes that's a wall that prevents it prevents positive communication. So get some food, get some rest, calm yourself down, and then go have the talk. If you phrases like "you never listen," "I feel unheard," when you look at your phone, like if you're talking to somebody and they're looking at their phone, it's kind of natural to feel like the person is not really listening to you. And try to name how you feel. Now, this kind of thing takes bravery in a way, right? Because if you're talking to somebody, a friend, let's say, and you feel like you're not being heard, you have to risk offending them, or risk pulling them into the space where you want them to be. And that might not be without resistance. So, the other thing, I've encountered this a lot in my sojourn. People, they listen to respond, right? They're just waiting for an opening to say something that they already want to say. They already got it packed, loaded, and ready to go. It's not that they don't care what you're saying, but they're stuck in their own patterns. I'm not immune from that sometimes, but I check myself. Because every communication is an opportunity to learn something, And if you already assume that you're not going to learn something, and that maybe what you have to say is going to trump what that person had just said, and there's no communication there. It's just maybe a volleyball game, but it's definitely not communication. And the other thing that's another thing I could say, not the other thing, another thing is communicating with people you need things from, or service people, doctors, nurses, and so on. For seniors, right, it's really very important to get clear communication and understanding, for you to accurately explain what might be happening to you, and also to take instructions from somebody, from a doctor, a medical person, and understand it, Sometimes that white coat is just so intimidating that people just nod their heads and they leave the office with pills that they're not even sure how to take, So there's a story I heard about an elderly woman that's been going to the same doctor for years. This was her doctor. But what happened, her doctor died before she did. And she started, once she had to go to another doctor, she was getting different medication, right? So she began to feel strange, right? Very, very strange. She started acting strange. Nobody knew what was going on, right? Turns out that her doctor had been giving her narcotics for years. And what she was experiencing was withdrawals. So there was definitely some lost communication going on there. Could you imagine? She had been taking narcotics. Her doctor dies, and she begins to experience withdrawal. She doesn't know what's going on. The other doctor doesn't know what's going on. So instead of having a bridge, they've constructed a wall, or she's constructed a wall for herself. And also, bad communication or imperfect communication is isolating, right? If you feel like you can't communicate with people around you, you stop communicating. If you feel like people aren't listening to you, you stop communicating. Okay, so now this is the big one. Intentional miscommunication. Intentional miscommunication. What do we call that in the street? Lying. Right? Now, that's a effort to mislead or to purposely muddy the waters, right? Usually in the favor of the person who is miscommunicating, right? Now, it's not always intentional. Some people lie, right? To protect their, some people lie to protect their truth. How about that? Some people lie to protect their privacy. You know, some people lie, keep people out their business. That's what they say on the street. You know, some people lie to manipulate and to gain advantage. You know, so that's where the active listening part comes in. You know, and some people lie because they're afraid. They're just afraid. You know. So this is all part of communication. This is all part of communication that you have control of, either as the misleader or the person who is being misled, right? So active listening is very, very important. You just gotta acknowledge the hard truth. And sometimes we know exactly what we're doing. We lie, we omit, we manipulate. We use words to control, not connect. You know, this leads into other mental issues and other things people might be, dealing with, emotionally and what have you. But it is part of it. People do it to avoid conflict, They do it not to hurt. Like that's things I said, to keep people out of their business, and maybe sometimes people lie to agree to things that they don't really want to agree to. Not to hurt the person's feelings or like counter manipulation. If you feel you're being manipulated and you lie, so it's like, but anyway, those interactions are not bridges. Those are walls. And it will eventually leave you isolated because nobody likes a liar. So what if you decided to, starting today, communicate clearly and as kindly as you could? You'll still be misunderstood, sure. You'll still make mistakes, sure, but you'll have fewer regrets. You'll be known more fully. You'll give others permission to be honest with you and around you. As seniors, we've had decades of knowing and being around miscommunication, decades of silence, decades of wishing maybe I should have said something differently. That's not a failure, that's data. We know what doesn't work. Now we can learn what does. It's never too late to say, I want to communicate better. And if in doing that, promising yourself to communicate better, promising yourself that you're going to be as honest as possible, right? That diminishes the space between us, which I consider is probably artificial anyway. But it diminishes the silence around us also, because people know you're going to be honest with them, and they'll accept that, and they'll be honest around you. And always say, before you answer, take a moment before you answer something and say something like, what I'm hearing you say is, and just kind of repeat it, So don't do like I said, you're just waiting to talk, right? You want to get your stuff in. So that's basically where I'm coming from today. Just communication. Just me experiencing some things with people and trying to get my point across and try to understand other people's points. It's a test sometimes. It's a test. But the clearer you can communicate, the stronger your bridges between you and who you're trying to communicate with, right? Anything else is just building walls, and walls lead to isolation. That's my thing. So if you could react to this by just saying some of the things or some of the methods you have for staying honest with yourself and staying honest with other people in communication, any tips that you might have. So that's it. That's 43, folks. That is 43. Remember, we still got the t-shirt giveaway. Get some people in here, subscribe. We're trying to get to 150. We're on our way. We're definitely on our way. And also, the QR code that's been up there, it's to my website and to the music that will be coming out. So check it out. Let me know what you think there too. And remember, it's not what you think, it's what you think about.
Being hurt is bad business. Giving yourself to a stone is no reality. 'Cause in life there are times when giving yourself is no reality. Besides, why should your world be so small? Why should your world be so small? The inner linkage, the self-bridge, that's the